I'm Pam Lopker, President and Founder of QAD, and today we're in Mumbai. I'm glad to be here. It's been almost 12, no, more than 12 years. Last time I was here was in 1997, and we had a very, very small office, 2 or 3 people, and today we're just opened the 7th floor of our 2 floors in this office building, and I think we're just at 234 people here in Mumbai. So it's been a great time in India, lots of expansion. Primarily up until this point, we've been mostly focused on supporting our global customers doing business in India. So that would include many automotive customers as well as CPG, industrial, life science, electronic companies. I think mostly QAD is known for automotive. Automotive is about 34% of our business, automotive suppliers, but certainly we have a very dominant position in the automotive supplier business. And as we look forward into the next, this particular year, we're looking at expanding through going after the Indian companies themselves. We'll still focus on our global companies, but it's now time to expand further by working with Indian-owned companies.
Right. I would like to firstly thank you so much for taking the time out for CV Magazine and ACI Magazine. And
sure, thank you.
I think we are as excited as your colleagues that you are here in Mumbai and taking time out for us. Now, you mentioned that automotive space is a very dominant space and an emerging space which you can't ignore as an organization. Before I ask you to elaborate the specifics, a little on, there's a lot of buzz doing around expansion, trade wars, and also protectionism.
Right.
So since you operate in many countries, more than 100 countries, I believe, how do you look at this as an outsider, as an insider from a country where all of this is sort of evolving?
Yeah, I think there's always the yin and yang, of everything, and globalness being one of those things.
Right.
So starting 20 years ago, the borders started opening up, the EU opened up, China opened up, the US with NAFTA was very, very open for trade, not just between Mexico and Canada, but to China, India, everywhere else in the world. And there's been some backlash on that.
Right.
So not just the US, but Germany, the UK, of course, India, China, Brazil, everyone has started to feel, maybe we should close our borders and buy local products.
Right.
To help expand the economy. And I think that's only reasonable given the extent of globalization that happened. I think this will last a few years and then we'll come back to more of a neutral point.
Right.
But certainly, I think in a way it's great because there's a lot of local growth happening everywhere. So you're going to see a lot of, as you mentioned before, a lot of countries imposing taxes or lack of taxes on, for instance, car
Right.
manufacturing if a certain percentage of the components are built in the local country. So there's a lot of excitement around that because there's a lot of job opportunities that come along with that.
Right. Could you also share a financial snapshot of the company? How have the last 2-3 years
Sure.
been?
Yeah, we haven't reported our last year earnings yet. We'll do that somewhere around the mid or third week in March. So I can't really say anything about last
Right.
year. But in general, QAD has been doing very well. We've been focused on our cloud growth. And we're just getting to that $100 million recurring revenue in cloud. So we've done exceedingly well, growing at 30% plus a year.
Right.
As we've have moved in the cloud business. And certainly that's where it's at today. People don't particularly want to own their own hardware and manage their own systems.
Right.
So providing a world-class capability in the cloud is extremely important for not just the market, for the growth of QAD.
Right. Automotive is one focus area. You are also present in other sectors. So before we dive deep into the auto space, a little on the other sectors that are a focus area at QAD.
Yeah, I think that, we have 6 verticals, automotive being one of them, life science also being a very big growth area for us. They
Right.
tend to be smaller companies. We primarily focus on med devices, and that's done very well. And we also have a large number of cloud customers in med devices because, those companies certainly don't want, as a startup company, set up their own ERP systems
Sure.
and hire their own IT. We also do consumer products, food and beverage, industrial, and electronics.
Right. A word on your subsidiaries and the recent joint ventures, that fall directly in line with your future plans.
So I think I'll let you talk about that a little bit more in India, but we are now starting to partner more,
Right.
both on a sales and services standpoint, and eventually on actual vertical product development. Do you want to talk about the couple partners here in India?
Right. So I'll mark that question for you,
Okay.
and I'll take it at a later stage.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In the auto space, which are your products? Which are the different verticals that you cater to?
In the auto space?
Yes.
We primarily focus on the tier 1 parts provider.
Right.
So those are the ones that sell directly to the OEM, and we do everything from component manufacturers to just-in-time sequencing,
Sure.
where they have to deliver everything in order of the cars on the line and match them up as they come off the truck.
Right. Are you seeing manufacturing in general becoming more leaner and more automated? That seems to be...
Absolutely, yeah. And so robotics all over the place, starting off with, and the 3D printers starting to happen, particularly in prototype areas, but we think that they will be coming on board to make certain parts. And very much so with less people on the shop floor.
Right.
So as manufacturing plants start up, they tend to be quite automated.
Right. Of all the countries that you operate in vis-a-vis India, how are the different verticals performing? Where's the maximum traction from country-wise, and where does India stand?
Yeah, I think that India is actually somewhat emerging in automotive. It's doing well. I think it's growing at 10-18% a year. But if you looked 10 years ago, the hubs for automotive were the U.S., Germany, Japan, and China. And now I think India is joining that, but probably not to the levels that those other countries are. But they're growing, and that's always important.
Right, right. You have a unique ERP solution. How does it enable 93 of the 100 top-selling cars? That's the input that I got from your team.
Yes, that's true. So I want to say it was probably 1993 that we decided to focus on the automotive vertical. And it was kind of an interesting time because being a U.S. company, the United States automotive business was really decelerating. It was losing ground to Japan. But we took that opportunity to say it needed help. There needed, automotive in general needed help. We could learn a lot through lean manufacturing through Japan. We have a couple very, very good Japanese automotive suppliers. And so we took the opportunity to learn about lean pull and the whole supply chain, EDI, and efficiencies that we actually can take to every industry.
Right.
But in order to compete, there needed to be a lot of retooling in that area in the automotive sector, and we really were part of that and drove that. We partnered initially in the U.S. with Johnson Controls, who was and still is, but they've spun off that division to a company called 80th.
Right.
We said, okay, we're here to invest in automotive. We know you need help. We will work with you to make this work better.
Right.
And was a very, very successful partnership that started us on our automotive venture. And from that, we were able to get traction throughout the automotive parts suppliers.
Right.
And we work today with all the consortiums on setting standards for the future. We'll actually be involved in writing the standards for automotive and teaching the automotive standards to suppliers.
Right. Speaking in very layman terms, for the ease of our followers who do have a technical bent of mind, but would like to visualize how does a QAD product at a manufacturing shop floor really ease the entire manufacturing process. So if you could, in a couple of lines, just help us visualize what does a QAD interface do.
If you are automotive manufacturing parts, you're probably familiar with the MMOG LE standards.
Right.
And those standards really do specify both quality and leanness. And we were actually part of the consortium that wrote those standards. But things like starting off from getting an order, sometimes in the old world, and maybe a lot of the world today, the OEM always sends an order through EDI,
right.
And many companies may still print that order and then re-enter it into their system, and that's strictly forbidden to be a good automotive supplier. You need to have that integrated with your ERP system, and by doing that, you eliminate time and mistakes, right?
Right.
And on the shop floor, everything needs to be either barcoded or it has to be integrated with the machine to get quantities. If you're manually typing that information in, that's room for errors and quality problems. And just from those two examples, you can start to see everything has to be connected,
right.
And everything has to flow seamlessly. There should be no retyping. There should be no room for manual errors.
Right.
And so taking that through the whole system, not just from the customer, but then all to the supplier. So the supplier should either receive EDI orders or they should have a portal where they can download orders automatically, and those orders need to be integrated with their system as they download them. There should be no manual intervention.
Right.
And if you add that to every part of the system, you can start seeing that you're going to eliminate errors and you're going to eliminate time. And then you should move to a pull production instead of a work order production so that you can be very, very responsive to the orders coming in.
As easy as you make it sound, logistically this seems to be a nightmare. So how do you take care of the logistics aspect of manufacturing? So,
I think that, but that's the beauty of our product. It's all integrated, both logistics as well as manufacturing as well as finance. And we have some very well documented best practices that are actually flow charted and built into our software. So we can take our customers step by step. We've actually been called in by Ford and GM a few times to help turn around a supplier that's not doing well. And we're typically able to do that within a 6-week period.